Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ahir Shah. It's a pleasure to be with you because I've been a bit down recently, I've been a bit down. It's the little things that get me down, insignificant in and of themselves, that ball around one another to wait up. Just these little things, like my own phone autocorrects my name to the word shit. Like, it autocorrects Ahir to shit, you understand, not Shah to shit, and you'd assume that it'd be Shah to shit, right? Same two first letters, four-letter word, but it autocorrects my first name to the word shit. It autocorrects my surname to the word shag. Now, when do you ever use your full name in a text message apart from ludicrously formal situations? So the only time this ever impacts me in practice is when I'm like, "Dear Jerry, terribly sorry, the rent's going to be late again this month. Feel free to call me shit shag." State of affairs. Lovely to be with you. We'll clarify before we continue. I realise that I sound as though I've been colonised by my own voice. Basically, the reason I sound like this is that when my grandparents first moved to the UK from India in the 1960s, my grandfather told his 3 children, including my mother, that in the interests of integration, whenever they were outside of the house, they were banned from speaking to one another in Gujarati, their mother tongue, and instead had to speak in sort of prim and proper, and at the time affected posh English accents in order to minimise the chances of them getting the shit kicked out of them, right? Now, I once asked my uncle if this tactic worked, and he just looked at me and went, "Heavens no!" So not only did he still get consistently wailed on by skinheads in alleyways after football matches in the 70s, but also whenever I now perform in front of a post-industrial northern English town on a Friday or Saturday night, I find it quite difficult to establish a rapport. It is nice to be in Australia, nice to be in a country where I know how to speak the language, I spent a lot of December in Mexico. Lovely country, but I don't speak Spanish, and I was there with my girlfriend at the time, and she does speak Spanish, right? Now, importantly, my girlfriend at the time was white. I mean, she probably still is. But I've not checked, but it's got sticking power, right? But anyway, she's white, and like from the countryside, so like double white. Like genuinely Celtic alabaster burns in moonlight situation. Like, she was so white that when she and I walked down the street holding hands together, it looked like at least one of us was trying to make a point. But basically, she speaks Spanish, I don't speak Spanish. She looked like that. I look Mexican, it turns out. I had absolutely no idea, but it turns out on the east coast of Mexico, people look like what I think Indian people look like, and so everyone was opening their conversations to me in Spanish, expecting me to answer, and I was just stood there like, queso, maybe. Right? And you've not known suspicion till you've known sets of eyes bearing into you as if to say, who is this silent Mexican? And why does he insist on conducting all of his business via his albino PA? She got me to quit smoking. That was a good thing, I think. She got me to quit smoking. Basically, I've quit smoking now. Or, more accurately, people who love me keep yelling that they were worried I was going to die, so now I have to smoke a fucking USB stick. It looks so rubbish and lame, but you can't tell your mum you'd rather be a dead legend than a living nerd. So, gotta do it. It's weird, people are so anti-smoking nowadays, right? It's odd. I have been successfully peer pressured out of something that a decade ago I was peer pressured into. There's a very pleasing symmetry to that, but it is slightly hampered by the fact that in the intervening years I've become a drug addict. It's slightly annoying. I don't really mind being a drug addict. It's quite nice. Think about it. How many times in your life do you ever get the feeling, there's something really fundamentally wrong with me, and yet know immediately how to fix it? I mean, it's only drugs that give you that. Every day I'm like, oh my God, I feel awful. Oh my God, I feel awful. Oh, that's better. Whereas for you guys, you walk around your day-to-day lives being like, oh my God, I feel awful. Oh, I feel awful. I'm going to have to reassess my entire relationship with Dad. It's weird. The difficult thing is that you have to charge these e-cigarettes, and I keep forgetting to charge mine. So I have to take a portable charger with me everywhere I go. And I always do it on the tube in London, right? So I've got this portable charger, and it's got one wire coming out of it for my phone, and another wire coming out of it for my e-cigarette, and I plug everything in simultaneously, and everything lights up at once. And there's always one commuter who looks at me out of the corner of their eye, because for a microsecond they're convinced I'm about to go full Allahu Akbar. I have to be like, bruv, no, I'm not going to go full Allahu Akbar. I'm just trying to get my fix. Don't worry about it. You know? Difficult thing. So the stopping smoking, that's lasted, but the relationship hasn't. And so I've got to be out in the world again. You know? And it's a difficult thing to wrap your head around after several years, you know, having to do all of that small talk again, be across from someone in a bar, and everyone's very well-meaning and everything, but it's the same questions that you rattle through every time, you know, where she's like, what do you do for a living, you know, where did your parents grow up, what part of Mexico are they from? Can't be dealing with it. Hope you've enjoyed it. You're gonna leave soon. If you haven't enjoyed this, that's absolutely fine. There's very little that either of us could have done. Every time it's like, be funnier, I'll appreciate it more. We're just arguing over an inherently subjective form. You've been a good audience. Yeah, I'm not trying to be patronizing or anything. Genuinely, earlier today, I was just sat alone in the hotel being like, fuck it, fine, tonight I'll go and see an audience, fine. I didn't know if you'd be any good. You know what I mean? But you take your chances. Come out, it's a festival, why not? Don't get me wrong, like, you're not that famous an audience. Right, but I've enjoyed your work anyway. I found it different, interesting, at times challenging. I understand why it's so critically acclaimed. You might think that I've been a relatively unfunny stand-up comedian, but I think that we can all agree I would have made an extremely funny lecturer. So even now, let's just acknowledge that we could reassess these 10 minutes in the light of that and realize we've all witnessed something breathtaking that's been horrifically missold. To everyone. Cards on the table, I have literally no idea if I've done long enough. I think I have, but I forgot to check what the time was when I assumed my position. And so now I'm desperately waiting for one of the many people currently working in this room who are not taking the hint to tell me, is that 8? Right, okay. I have not done enough. The problem is that owing to a variety of legal rights issues, almost all of my stand-up is currently locked in positions where it's unusable. So I've had to do new tonight for you. And if you were wondering why the lines earlier, some of them didn't work, cards on the table, it's because I knew they wouldn't. I was playing for time. I feel as though this is going to make the edit, purely out of necessity. At this stage, you can't deny it's not funny. Oh, wait, no, I used a double negative there, and that would imply that it wasn't funny. Oh, damn. You can't deny that it's not funny. I'm being funny. I'm a professional stand-up comedian. Occasionally, when you have to insist upon that, an air of suspicion creeps in as to the veracity of such a claim. I'm going to go now. Think about my position. There's a non-zero chance that I'll be asked to come out again and do some other joke so that this is in any way usable. I may have just lost a considerable amount of money. Ladies and gentlemen of Audible, it's been an utter pleasure. I shall see you again sometime. My name's Ahir Shah.